he is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
Welcome to the Sales Ninja Show podcast, where we cut through the noise, ditch outdated sales tactics, and show you how to close deals with confidence, strategy, and integrity. I'm Jay Lees, founder of Sales Ninja. As a former banker, former introvert, former pastor, and high-ticket seven-figure sales ninja, I now help grow and scale businesses without the need for pushy tactics. And that's the heart of the reverse glass selling method, a kingdom-driven approach from the Bible, 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15, which is built on trust, service, and true connection. My mission is to help 1 million people break the cycle of generational poverty so that you can sell more to give more. Today's guest has been running a seven-figure business for nearly 18 years, all without investment capital and often working just a few hours a day. My kind of guy. His entrepreneurial journey began in 2007 with a single blog that gave him the freedom to quit his job for good. Now, he often helps others do the same by leveraging their personal brands to attract clients, grow networks, and scale their businesses through his proven I.S.E. framework. Identify, strategize, execute. Let's welcome Nat Berman. Welcome, Nat, to the Sales Ninja Show podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks a lot, Jay. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. So I love that you have been doing a seven-figure business for 18 years. Now, let's start from the beginning. Where did it all start? Did you have parents that were entrepreneurial? Where did it all start?
Well, it didn't start at seven figures, that's for sure. It started at zero. So
yeah.
As far as my folks, yeah, technically entrepreneurs. Both my parents were therapists, psychotherapists. So my father, he started off with his degree, worked in like a hospital, and steadily built up his private practice on the side. Eventually, my parents worked together. So technically, yeah. I mean, I do come from an entrepreneurial background for sure.
So, I hear a lot of people that try to do business together with family. Husband and wife, like you saw your mom and dad do that. How was that growing up watching? You take your business, and usually when you're working in different, companies or different jobs, you can come back and complain about each other's bosses or whatever. But now they're working together in the same company. How did that feel growing up?
Yeah, honestly, I never really felt it much. I personally could never work with my wife, and she would tell you the same. I think it would be catastrophic for our relationship and our marriage. But, I've heard the complete opposite about some folks, in the sense that like they feel like they couldn't survive without their spouse working with them. So I really do think it comes down to the individual and how that couple is, aligned in that way. So with my folks, I think it was relatively smooth from a work perspective. I never really heard much. Yeah.
Interesting. So no boss, no limits. You've said from a young age that you never wanted a boss. How did that desire to avoid authority shape your early career decisions?
Yeah, that existed since I was super little. And it wasn't even that like I didn't like, I've had bosses in my life. I've had teachers in my life that were like wonderful people, and I never had anything against them. But as soon as it got to something where it was like, I'm being told what to do, it just never rubbed me the right way. I don't know why. even back in like kindergarten. I remember my mom always tells me this story that she had this talk with my kindergarten teacher who was like, he keeps getting out of line. He keeps going off on his own. And like, she thought there was something wrong with me. It was actually, kind of like the other way around. It was just at a very young age, I was an individual and kind of wanted to do my own thing. So maybe it was hereditary. I don't know. It's possible.
That's amazing. You had a free spirit, even at a kindergarten age. That's pretty young.
Yeah.
From blogging to seven figures. In 2007, you quit your job after discovering blogging and built a consistent seven-figure business for nearly 18 years. What was the mindset shift that gave you the courage to leave your job and never look back?
I'm not sure it was a mindset shift as much as it was being practical about it, in the sense that I think a lot of people are told, burn the boats, right? And leave everything and that kind of stuff. I'm a bit more of you could call it an optimistic realist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I understood that I had to have some runway. I was just building on the side. So it was basically, I would work probably 8 to 6 or so. And then I'd come home and I would work, 7 to whatever. And once I saw a realistic growth trajectory and I actually had earned some money, that's when I took the leap. So I think I had like 6 months or so of reserves. And it was like the first month I made over $2,000. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. A little risky. I was living in Manhattan, so it's not like rent was cheap or anything like that. But my then girlfriend, now wife, she was also bringing in an income. So it wasn't insane, but yeah, there was probably a good 6-7 months there. But talk about a mindset shift. You mentioned that. Yeah. Day one was like, I was a machine. It was something did like, just, it snapped as soon as I was working for myself. Like it just, the work ethic just kind of kicked in. I feel like every job I ever had prior to me working for myself, I probably never worked fully 100% kind of a thing. Whereas as soon as I was on my own, it was just like game on.
That's so interesting. Like, I guess maybe there's not the fear of just the failure, but when you kind of give up your cushy job where you have a consistent income and you have a boss, you have something to fall back on. But when you're leaning on yourself and depending on yourself to make it work, then you just feel this full sense of responsibility to like, I got to make this work. So in your earlier struggles, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced when you turned your first website into a career?
I would say just, not knowing how to do anything, right? I didn't know what the hell a blog was. I didn't know the structure or coding of websites. Hell, I still don't, right? It was WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn WordPress. I had to learn, basic stuff, but things that I didn't know about themes and how to put things here and there and where do I place ads. And that was way later. But, back in 2007, it was a little bit more favorable and you had a much better chance of reaching people when you emailed them than you do now. So I was just very, very forward about it. And I would just email websites constantly, build relationships, ask questions. My education just came from emails and constantly reading and constantly, looking things up. And so that was very much a trial by fire kind of thing. And every mistake I made, I had to own it. Every single, win that was there was great. But a lot of it was just, that was the hardest thing was not knowing how to do anything. I just like went. So eventually I think when you're like a solopreneur, I was kind of working at home before, I guess you could say it was more normalized.
Yeah.
So the loneliness factor is real. Working by yourself, you're not in an office, you're not around people. It's just you and your computer.
Yeah.
and your surroundings. And anyone who tells you that that doesn't get to you is lying. Eventually it does. And even today I'm in the same situation, but now I have a business. There's other people. I'm talking to them just like I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel lonely. I mean, yes, I still think it's extremely important to be out in the real world and do things with physical people, but it's lonely. Being an entrepreneur is lonely. And I think that is one of the biggest challenges of working on your own.
I agree. I mean, and I actually just curious with some of the wins and learns. You had mentioned earlier that you had a much better chance of emailing back in that time. What were some of the KPIs or numbers, like in terms of how many emails were you sending and how many calls were you booking, and how did that all play a factor in terms of staying consistent?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, honestly, I can't remember like my hit rate or
Yeah.
of responses and whatnot, but I will tell you this. When it came to website building back then, something I learned very quickly was you kind of have to play in your own pond before like reaching out to the big boys. Like I would always reach out to like 9 or 10 websites that I knew were kind of like where I was. That was a huge thing to build a website. You had to play with the people, like I said, in your pond. And eventually, once in a while, I would send out like an email to a very large website, seeking a mention or a link. And I remember I used to consistently reach out to Sports Illustrated every day.
Really?
It was this website called Extra Mustard, which still exists, but I don't know if Extra Mustard exists. But a guy named Jimmy Traina used to run it, and I'm pretty sure he's still there. And I started to learn that there were very big outlets out there where you could, just send your link every day, and maybe one day they'll link to you. And sure enough, one day Sports Illustrated linked to one of my sites, and things really kind of took off from there. And then it's like, oh, well, all of a sudden Maxim, is paying attention, and Ask Men is paying attention. And you would start getting links from larger and larger websites that would increase your SEO footprint. Then all of a sudden you're getting searched, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it kind of, so it was really, I consider myself lucky. It was, it was 9 months and I was making enough to leave. So that was pretty cool.
Amazing. Let's talk about scaling without capital. Like you've built and run multiple businesses without ever taking investment capital. A lot of people, are either not able to do that or have not been successful in doing that. What strategies allowed you to grow sustainably without finding outside funding?
Just working my ass off. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and be like, a hustle bro, and I praise working 20 hours a day. But I think in the beginning, I think anything other than giving it your all is probably not going to cut it. It's just doing what you got to do, man. Having the ability to gain a lot of traffic and not spend money, but instead use effort really, really helped. Because there were days where, it would explode. Like a Sports Illustrated day would be great. Or this is dating me a little bit, but there was a site called dig.com, which is actually now coming back. That was much, much bigger than Reddit.
Wow.
And if you hit the front page of Dig, you could get like 300,000 visits to your website. Back then they called it the server killer, because there was so much traffic coming in that your site would go down. But those were like really big days, that could have been like $1,000, $2,000 day, in ad revenue. And so you get enough of those over time, save up your money strategically. I used to always operate from a position of profit, and I still do to this day. Very slowly. I mean, I'm 46 now. Very slowly, I've started to do things where it's like, all right, I'll put in 6 months, expect nothing in return, and I'll go with that experiment. But back then, you didn't really have that kind of option, or community chest of money. Not that I have a huge community chest of money, but whatever. I've got something now where I can, take a chance for a given amount of time. Back then, it's be nimble, find ways to get traffic, And I think building relationships was huge. Just constantly reaching out to websites, being in touch with other website owners, knowing I was getting backlinks. The relationship game. I mean, look, you're in sales, you're the sales ninja, right? I mean, it's everything.
Yeah.
So surprisingly, one of the biggest reasons I think I made it with websites was because I did so little, but so much of the little that I did, right? So it was like everybody else was trying to like figure out SEO, and it's still a mystery in a game. It's not nobody. I don't believe in SEO consultants and all that, and nothing against them. It's just I don't buy it. Like back then, it was literally just getting backlinks, creating really good content every day. That was it. Like consistency of content. I would make sure that I always had 7 to 10 really good articles going up every single day, and then pushing those articles myself. Like that was it. It was those two things every single day until eventually you put up another site, you hire a writer, you rinse and repeat.
So you push 7 to 10 articles per day?
Oh, way more than that. But yeah, when I started off, I was writing my own articles, and I would do about 10 every single day. They were usually
Holy smokes.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of work. It was, they were 1,000-word articles.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a crazy amount of work. But it enabled me to eventually duplicate that without my writing. And that took time, took years, but eventually, it worked out pretty well.
I think I'm just going to pause here for a moment, because there's something here that is hidden gold. The elite performance and your mindset to be able to put in this consistency and push past your quit, and like doing doing a lot with so little is incredible and impressive at the same time. So I think there's like an offer or a solution here where whether it's an evergreen course or a mastermind or a coaching where you teach people, because you're really good at copywriting and writing, and also the mindset with consistency and the strategy behind that. And I don't know if your program kind of involves all those things. Tell me more about your program and how you help people.
Sure. So we have a personal branding platform called Brand Built. While we don't teach, growing websites, we teach, growing your personal brand. So whether that's LinkedIn or, YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, all of those, it's kind of like a operating system, right? Like a brand built OS. So we've got courses in there on productivity, courses specifically linked to social media like LinkedIn or YouTube or a TikTok. And then we have weekly calls. So those are with our members. And we usually lead with like 10, 15 minutes of education on a different topic every single week. And then the rest of it's kind of like a Q&A. And then we've got monthly training calls. There are 4 of those. Those are specific to LinkedIn, business and branding, automation, AI scaling systems, things like that. So it's kind of like an everything sort of program. And we've also got, you have the ability to chat with other members. It's hosted on GHL. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We started that in 2024. There's about 200 members or so now. And we've, grown that business to now include done for you services. We've got our own CRM that people use. So we're just continuously evolving.
I'm actually trying to, I know we talked offline, but you had a website called joinbrandbuilt.com. I don't know if my internet's down or the website's down. Is it joinbrandbuilt, BUILT.com?
Join. Yeah, it's up.
Okay, maybe my internet's not working properly.
Here,
Joinbrandbuilt.com.
Just put it in the chat port for you.
Okay, cool. Joinbrandbuilt.com. Oh yeah, here we go. It just loaded up. Okay, perfect. I'm just going to share the screen so people can see how they can join your community. Okay, there we go. Build your brand, grow your business, lead the conversation. The premier platform for founders and entrepreneurs ready to monetize their personal brands. What are some highlights or case studies, whether it's engagement, whether it's visibility, whether it's growing and scaling a business that you've been able to get with some of the brand building you've done with some of your clients?
Yeah, I'd say for the most part, we start very simple with people, and it's optimizing their profiles on social so that they're more visible, so that people understand exactly what it is they do, how they help people, the outcomes that they can provide, right? And once we nail that down, then it comes down to a couple of things. It comes down to their content, and it comes down to their engagement. So what you're scrolling through there is some testimonials from members of the group. So usually, and what follows from that is what we care about most. Unlike a lot of social media, we don't really give a shit if you get a zillion impressions and likes and comments and all that crap. Like, that doesn't matter to us. What matters is building relationships and getting results, i.e. revenue, growing your revenue, growing your relationship base, making sure your reputation is solid. If you happen to get a lot of likes and a lot of views and all that stuff, wonderful. I mean, yes, people certainly grow their accounts a little bit faster than they would without assistance when they're working with us. But I've been on LinkedIn since 2019, at least as a creator, and I've seen every cycle that it has, and nothing is going to compare to building relationships with people directly, reaching out to people directly, and harnessing and taking advantage of the attention that you're getting, which is something that we teach, right? How to turn somebody into a viewer to someone who's actually a client, taking them from basically something virtually cold, right? To eventually, oh, wow, this person's booking a call with me, right? Those are the main things that I think are important to us when it comes to teaching people in our community.
Yeah, and this, I guess, is a testimonial here, is saying about a high achieving tech salesperson who was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis the year before March of 23rd. This is a crazy story.
Yeah, Anthony was on our call today, and he actually is working with us now.
Oh, really?
He basically represents us for our CRM, so he actually does a lot of sales for our CRM product right now. Amazing. Yeah, he was a member turned, basically, partner.
I think those are the best kinds of team members, is people who have become your clients or students, and they loved it so much, and they gave and were engaged and wanted an opportunity, or you saw the opportunity to offer them something.
Yeah, our COO, same thing.
Really? She was also a client?
Megan Donnelly, she was a member of our community.
What?
And it didn't take long for us to realize, like, she's the tech person that we want. And so it was actually her CRM that we acquired. And now she works with us as our COO. So yeah, like cool. My whole intent is to try and do our best to build within.
So I think that's proof in the pudding that Nat really means what he says and says what he means, where he's actually getting people and helping them transform their lives, and then building relationships, and they end up working with him because they love what he's doing, and vice versa. So when people join your community, I'm just looking here, just first time, they get access to your training, your webinars, your course, a weekly community chat, a productivity course, all this stuff, profile optimization, and they get it for the special. Is this special like a monthly special? Is it does it change afterwards?
Yeah, no, we believe in just one price. So whatever that price is, it's $249 a month, and that's in perpetuity.
Does that include, do they get a CRM with this? I'm not sure if I'm reading this right.
No, the CRM is a separate product. So Digital Magic is another product that's also $250. If people do both, we usually give them a discount. So it ends up being like, $400 instead of $500.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really good. I love that. There's so much here, guys, that Nat and his team is offering that this is the first time I'm seeing this, and I'm, a sales ninja that sells and creates offers that sell like crazy. And the amount of support, the amount of, help that you're getting in here is incredible. So that looks amazing. Okay. Awesome. So I wanted to ask another question on, let me just take the screen off here. So tell us about your I.S.E framework. They emphasize the execution and with the support of others. How do you create an environment where people feel supported and motivated to deliver results?
So I.S.E is I just wanted, like, everyone was saying, okay, well, if you're going to sell a product, you should probably have like a method in there. And honestly, I just kind of was like, well, what have I been doing this entire time? Like, what do I teach with my one-to-ones? This is when I was doing a lot more one-to-one work. And I was always the same thing. It was always a 3-step process. I believe in simplicity, always have,
Yeah.
always will.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like, can I come up with a cool acronym? And so I.S.E just sounded cool to me.
Yep. Yeah.
And then it was just like, literally what I've been teaching all along, which is like the first stage is always to identify whatever the simplest 1 or 2 things are that you can do or change in your business. Hit those hard, right? Create a strategy. There's the S behind those 1 or 2 things. So anything that you can do to tend to those larger pillars would be your strategy. And the part where most people have the most trouble, which is why a lot of people hire coaches, is the execution side of it, right? The accountability, the consistency, being able to get in there day in and day out to do what needs to be done. So that's where I.S.E came from and started. So, yeah.
And I love that you have the execution and accountability, because a lot of coaches, mentors, and programs don't have this. How do you ensure the success and accountability? Is it like a coach? Is it like a check-in? Is it someone calling them, or how does it work?
So it's a couple of ways, actually. So within the community, we have a forum and a chat board. So you have the ability to go in there, ask any questions that you want, and ask anybody. I get back real quick to people. So there's a couple of ways. People have access to me personally when they're with us, whether that's on LinkedIn, chat, or email, or any place. We are always available to our members. But then on the other side is the community element, right? You've got another 199 people that you can basically lean on for advice and support. So the accountability is there, not to mention the weekly calls. If you're showing up to weekly calls, you're going to be accountable. You're going to be responsible. But I will say this, there's only so much we can do, right? There's only so much you can do on your end. We're not running a program for children.
Yep.
These are adults that are responsible for their own businesses, and we'll be there and do every possible thing that we can. But ultimately, we're not the ones who show up at your desk every day and do the actual work. That part, that's on the individual.
So can you walk us through like the I.S.E framework in action? So can you walk us through a real example of how identify, strategize, execute method either help someone grow their personal brand or business?
Yeah, sure. I can give you a perfect example of a one-to-one that I actually had. This is an interesting story. This was a guy who was in the mortgage business, and he was working for or represented by Citibank. I remember this. And he was earning a lot of money, making a very, very good living. But the types of clients that he had, he kind of wanted to up level a little bit. So the mortgages that they were underwriting, he wanted to do $1 million homes or more, but he didn't want to ruin, his business with some of the lower income, lower priced housing. And we basically kind of took a look under the hood. That was the identification stage, which is like, okay, well, what's the bottleneck here? What is the problem? Problem was the guy was on the phone all day with these people. The problem was he didn't have a system to basically take the leads and not have to deal with them himself. Even though he had leverage, like he had an assistant who wasn't doing anything. He had the resources of Citibank, but he wasn't doing anything because he was constantly on the phone. And that was immediate. I saw that. I was like, okay, well, we have to sort of automate the intake process here. First of all, you need a page where somebody can come in, potential leads, and they have to actually get qualified first. So you're not wasting your time. Not to mention those people, a lot of them are going to now be handed off to someone at a lower level, like your assistant or something like that, just a different place on the totem pole, so that you're not wasting your time with these people. And that was something that took about 2 weeks to implement because he did have to sort of get like authorization and he had to sort of train this person. But within a few weeks, like he saved like 3-4 hours a day, and it just really opened things up so that he could then go after, the other folks. So not only was he earning the same amount of money and working less, he had the opportunity to then go after some of those larger clients. But again, it was like a really simple fix. It was just like, dude, you just need to, harness all this data and just make it a little bit simpler. That was just one example, but he already had like the Rolodex. He already had contacts where he can go out and find some of the bigger fish that he was looking for. It was just a mess. And that was there are many different cases, many different examples, but that was an example of where like the ROI was time, right?
Yeah.
Which was invaluable in that particular case. It was like an extra 3-4 hours a day. And it wasn't even like to go make more money. It was like, I want more family time. I want to relax a little more, that kind of stuff, because this was someone who's already earning a good living. But that's a really specific example of where it played out like to a T.
That is amazing. I love that. That's the greatest, asset, time, because it never returns back, never waits for us. When you're saving even 3 to 4 hours per week, let alone per day, you're giving them 15 to 20 hours. So they're working half the amount if it's a 40-hour week. You also said that you're working a few hours. I don't remember if it was 3 to 4 hours here. For years, you just worked 3 to 4 hours a day while running a consistent 7-figure business. Proving success doesn't have to mean burnout. So what are some of the secrets under the hood as to how do you work 3 to 4 hours a day and run a 7-figure business? Because there are a lot of fish in the sea that are running 7-figure businesses, but they're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
And they're burning out.
So I do want to make something very clear. First couple of years, I was working my ass off. Okay. Yeah. So those 3-4 hours a day didn't exist in years 1 through basically 3.
Right.
Those were tough. That was, 12, 15 hours, that kind of stuff. Sometimes 7 days a week, sometimes 5 days a week, right? Like I always made sure I had time with my wife, or she was my girlfriend at the time. But that was always a priority. Personal life was always a priority. But to get to the 3 hours, going back to what we talked about earlier, it was just leverage. It was the right use of leverage. So it's like, okay, I did everything I had to do to build one site. Well, now can I build another? It's just not me, right? So can I hire people? Can I find writers? Like I also tried to be very efficient with my money as well. Like there were people in the website business spending $200-$300 on an article, right? That's not a good ROI when you're working for yourself.
Yeah.
That's very hard to recoup.
Right.
It takes time. So I went the difficult route, which was finding people who could write articles for like $20, but I had to go through like 500 people to find people who were high quality. And that process was like 6 months. But once I had my team, I had like 10, 20 writers that I could always turn to just pump out content. So was it easy? No. But by the time I got there, then it was very hands-off. Didn't have to do a whole lot. All I would tell them to do was just create drafts. I would have the final read, the final say before hitting publish. And at that point, that's how it became like relatively easy. And when I say 3 to 4 hours, like it didn't have to be 3 to 4 hours. It could have been even less than that. And that's how I work today. It's like, I generally go as hard as I need to get to the point where then I don't need to do that. So whatever it takes, I don't care. Right now it's very similar. My mornings are very busy. It's usually I'm up at 5:30, right? And then, the LinkedIn gauntlet, as I call it, once I hit publish at 7 a.m., it's like basically 7 to 9 is pretty busy. I'll head to the gym, come home for another hour of work. That's when I do my outreach. It's usually between like 10 and 11 and 12. And then the rest of the day, like, look, am I working the rest of the day? Yeah, but not really. It's much more reactive and reflective than it is. Okay, I go very hard from 5:30 to basically noon. Not all of that is work. Some of that is exercise and, being with my family and things like that. But 3-4 hours of hard work every day, focused. I don't believe anybody really needs more than that to have something successful, whatever they deem successful, right? But
Right.
yeah,
A
that's
book on
kind of
that.
how it's. Leverage is key, man. Leverage is key, and now with AI and automation and systems like that, you can really take advantage of leverage in a huge way.
What are some of the software stacks that you use, tools, AI systems to help you leverage your time and systems?
Yeah, so I'm a simple guy. I don't really use many. Like I don't have this like 10 stacked thing. What I will say is for some of the more social media related stuff, I've come to use AI for idea generation, script writing, and that has saved a ton of time. I mean, I do like 8 shorts a day. I film 8 shorts every single day, and there's no way you can put out that kind of volume. I publish of those 8, I publish 6. And I always just like to get ahead. That's just how I am. So it's like in TikTok, I have like 25 drafts, you know, they're just sitting there and I just hit publish. But how do you do that, right? Like you don't do that without leverage. It's not possible without learning the tools. So like to film 4 shorts and be able to load them up on all the social media platforms only takes me about 25 minutes. I could literally film this for everybody and show them like, hey, it's not crazy. It's all with my phone. That's just one example of something where I'm using tools, but you'd have to talk to Megan. She's our COO about a lot of the tech stuff. GHL is tremendous with AI. Like we create a lot of cool stuff for clients on the tech side, as far as automation, responses, workflows, all that kind of stuff. So the technical side of it, that's not me. It's never been me, but it's not as though they're not being used. Like I've always said, like, I want to get in on all this AI technology stuff, but I don't ever want to learn it. Like, I know that might sound kind of, I don't know, above it all, but it's not like that. It's just being very comfortable in my skin and knowing exactly what I want to do and what I don't want to do, or that I don't think I'm particularly strong at. And tech has never been one of them.
I think that's brilliant. Not a knock on you. It's brilliant because I remember listening to a podcast where a billionaire was being interviewed and they were asking what's the secret to becoming a billionaire? And he says it's a 4-letter word that starts with H. HIRE, hire. Do what you do best, outsource the rest. So when he says he wants to become, a tennis player and learn from scratch, I don't want to learn in 20 years what it took someone a lifetime. I want the person that has been playing for 20 years and has paid all the money to teach me in 1 year. It could be golf, it could be tennis, it could be social media, it could be LinkedIn, it could be building a brand, just like hiring Nat Berman. This is the idea of leveraging, which is key, and then leveraging resources, leveraging team members to do what they do best that you don't like doing. Just a question on even some of the leveraging for your publishing. I think I heard you say you publish 6 shorts a day, even though you film 8. Is that like, I know you said TikTok, but are you also publishing 6 shorts on LinkedIn?
No. So LinkedIn's the only place that's kind of its own planet, right? Like LinkedIn, I just do 1 post a day, every day, 7 a.m.
Oh, wow.
TikTok, it's 3 TikToks a day. I have 2 different channels, so it's 3 on each. So 6 total.
3 TikTok channels?
I have 2 channels.
Oh my gosh.
2 TikTok channels, and then there's I post the same 3 on Instagram and then the same 3 on YouTube Shorts. I know it sounds crazy, but it's not, because it's like the same video. I'm literally just, if you saw me do it, you'd realize like it's not that hard. Like it's 5 minutes. I film the thing, I do a quick edit, and I'm kind of done. But now I also know that what I'm doing isn't good enough. It's good. Everything's growing. But to take it to the next level, you mentioned HIRE, right? I'm working with someone who was very instrumental in architecting Alex Hormozy's social media stuff. And so we've been working together for the last month, and I'm going to be working with him for probably another 6 months to a year to really take things to another level. Like I still want to always film raw. That's just me and be me. but I'm aware, like I need an editor, like I need packaging to be better. And, these days quality is really important on social, on Instagram. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing on Instagram, right? Like I just don't like, and from what I've understood, it's got to be either super polished or appear to be very, very raw. It's almost like there's no in between there. I kind of have my head around TikTok decently. YouTube shorts tend to correlate with the stuff that does well on TikTok. So that's nice. Long form, good God, I was doing that last month and that is a pain. I was filming like a 20-minute video every day. And I was like, no, I am not doing this until later and I can figure it out. And maybe I'll do one a month. That I will say was kind of burning me out a little bit. But this stuff, this child's play. It's not hard. Like I know it sounds like crazy and all that. And it does sound crazy from an output perspective, but if people just understood that, like, if you just dial in, you really can do it reasonably and comfortably. So yeah, I mean, I got all the energy in the world, man. I'm ready to rock.
Yeah, that sounds like it. So how do you take content to conversion?
Good question. So that's your funnel, right? So on LinkedIn, luckily I've gotten to a point where I have a reasonably sized audience where it's somewhat organic at this point. So it's kind of
5K and counting.
Yeah. It's kind of, thank you. It's kind of, so my funnel for the community it's a 2-step funnel. I don't do the whole like newsletter and this and that. Like I have all that, but typically it's just go to my webinar. Like I do free webinars every 2 weeks on how to optimize your profile. Okay. And if people like it, the calls are an hour. I'll do maybe 5-minute portion is selling the community. I try to keep it very, very light there, which is probably to my detriment, but whatever. And so, yeah, my funnel is really 2 steps. The funnel that's going to exist from the other channels, there's a link right to Join Brand Built, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. So those sites for me are very, very new. I'm kind of excited. I'm just really getting going there. So those will likely be 2 things. It'll be linked to newsletter, link to Join Brand Built, whichever anybody wants to click on. The nurturing will be done through the newsletter. But, I think something that's really important to mention to everybody listening is that, like, don't ever hesitate to just get on a call with someone. If you get a good vibe, like, how it is. You're on LinkedIn, you see someone's account, you kind of have a feeling, like, I don't need to waste my time with a lot of this qualifying and this, that, and the other. And then there's people who are the complete opposite, where you're like, I'm not really sure about this person. I got to do a lot of qualifying. So I think some of it also is going on instinct, having done it for a while and being like, yeah, I think it might make sense for us to talk, you know what I mean? So there's a whole bunch of things, but yeah, there is a standardized kind of funnel, which is, it's like, I think the main levers are usually YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And those will usually go to either a webinar, a newsletter, or directly to Join Brand Built. And that's kind of how we filter in people.
When you're doing a free webinar, walk us through, like, are you doing a LinkedIn event, a Facebook event? How many people are you inviting? And if you know KPIs, how many people are invited, how many people register, how many people attend, and based on a close rate, because this is a Sales Ninja Show podcast and people are trying to learn how to build an offer and a brand that sells like crazy. And if they have a breakdown, it gives them hope for what's possible. Yeah.
Our needs are very modest, which is nice. And you have to understand, like, the business that I run, it's not the same as it's not the same as what I was in 2007. Right. So I'm patient. I don't care if we get 1 million members tomorrow. My partner, Darren, doesn't care if we get 1 million members tomorrow. We take it, slow. We would prefer it that way. But to give you an example of how it all works, during the year when it was a little bit busier, and I haven't done many of the webinars, I think I've done like 6 or 7. So it's not like I've done a ton, but I really enjoy doing them. So in the summer, it was way slower. I'll usually get anywhere from 25 to 40 signups. And my goal is always that half show up. My biggest call, I think there were like 32 people on it. So typically my expectation, like right now I have one next week and I've got 32 signed up for it. My expectation is that I'll probably hit 40 by next week.
Nice.
So it's maxed out at 75. I never hit 75. I think the most I had that signed up was like 56. So typically the goal is always half of those to show up. And then the goal from that, my goal for every webinar is either one member or one client. That's all I care about. And so far, I'm pretty damn close. I think we've gotten 4 members and 2 clients. So that works out. Like for 6 webinars, I've gotten business out of every single one. And our clients, that's very different because that's a $1,500 a month minimum engagement. So it works out pretty well, and I'm not, wasting my time. Plus you're building relationships. A lot of these people, they come in like it's crazy. I have people that join the community after a year of like following my stuff on LinkedIn, which it's annoying, but like, hey, what the hell? Like it's the power of consistency and constantly putting your message out there. It works out nicely. I mean, it's a long game. Like anyone who's in sales for less than probably 3 years is making a mistake. At least from my perspective. I've been in the cold calling game. I've done all that. I was a recruiter. I did sales. I hated cold calling, man. Like I hated it. Doesn't mean I don't believe in the power of it. But most people, they don't have the stomach to last through it. And I don't blame them. It's a freaking pain. It's really, really tough. But luckily, the nice thing is you got little things called commenting now, right? That's cold calling, right? You can put a comment on someone's post on any social media platform and you get their attention. That's what I like about social media. I'm way more comfortable there. You're behind a screen. You don't feel like someone's going to want to shoot you in the head, just because you're calling them and wasting their time or whatever. That's why I've always liked the idea of content by drawing people in. It's not quite warm, but it's way warmer than completely cold. Like there's a
100%.
lot of people that just sell on Sales Navigator and they just go right for the kill, like right away. Like
you slide into your DMs.
Yeah, they go hard.
Yeah.
I lead with content first always, and I never hit the connect button unless they've either seen my profile, unless it's something that they've done first on my end. It's not an ego thing. It's just a comfort level thing. It's like, oh, well, now I have the right to kind of reach out to them. Not to say that I didn't have the right before, but like I said, in the beginning, no, it's harder, it's colder, but I've got a bigger audience now. So I always say to all of my clients, anyone that I've ever worked with, where it's like, they could have been anywhere that day, right? But they chose to view your profile. They chose to view your content. And if you have the tools that tell you these people are watching, why the hell not contact them, right? And then the whole game is, how do you reach out, right? How do you get to that point? And I'm usually just pretty inviting. It's like, hey, thanks for dropping by. Here's what I do. And if you ever want to talk, I'm around. Let me know.
So you do all the follow up and the commenting and the DMs and the calls yourself?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so let me share with this, because this is a really good point to make, and probably a masterclass clinic that I'm sure Nat can put on. This is a post that Nat put up 7 hours ago, and he already has 334 likes and 346 comments and 2 reposts. Okay, what the heck? That's incredible. And what's a secret? Like, are you just like this magic writer, or are you paying people to like your stuff? How the heck are you doing this?
No, never been in a pod. Don't believe in that. Not against it. If you want to do that, that's your business. I'll be the first to tell you that. It's not my business.
This is amazing.
They're 2 very, very different styles. The pod style is you have to have specific types of content. A lot of it is revolved around employment.
Yeah.
And they basically have their stuff liked by, there's these thousands of people in their network, and they're basically paying to be in this group to boost their stuff. The issue I have with that model is that it tends to lend itself to, I grew on LinkedIn, I'll show you how to grow on LinkedIn, right? It's like this never-ending cycle, and it's almost like, the the people at the top are the ones that benefit the most. It's not quite a pyramid scheme, but it has the nature of a multi-level operation.
Right.
So the way I grew on LinkedIn was just, I commented more than anyone on the entire platform. Ask Yasmin Alik. He and I know each other very well. We actually hung out not even a month ago.
Oh, yeah.
I have a huge amount of respect for him.
Yeah.
I think he has a lot of respect for me.
Amazing.
He saw me very quickly as like, holy shit, this is the only guy that comments more than me. Now, you can't do that anymore on LinkedIn. You literally cannot. You will get like removed for like 5-6 hours if you're commenting too much. They changed that about 2.5 months ago.
Wow.
So initially, the way that I grew on LinkedIn was just being on the platform more than anyone.
Wow.
Yes, I'm a good writer, and my style is selfie plus text. Some people do carousels, some people do video. I grew on the platform doing video. That's all I did in 2019. 2019, it was way easier to grow, way easier. Just like, early days of TikTok kind of thing. They would push your stuff out like no matter what, even if it was crappy. But I had a period where I was very stagnant, where I had sold one of my websites. I had a lot of time on my hands. I wasn't really so active on the platform. So 2019 to 2022, 2019, 9 months, maybe 10 months, I grew to like 25,000 followers. Boom, just like that.
Wow.
That was just quick growth. I was on the platform probably 6-8 hours a day, just commenting like crazy. Now, 2022, I came back and was getting just destroyed. Like I had nothing. I was getting like 30 likes. And I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
And I was pissed.
Yeah.
And I was like, all these young people with like 1,000 followers, why are they getting so much engagement? What is going on here?
Yeah.
And it turns out they were just outworking me. Their content was better. Carousels were very popular back then. And I had a talk with a very popular creator, Luke Matthews. A lot of people know who he is.
Oh yeah. He's big. Yeah.
And he flat out told me, he's like, your stuff sucks, man. Like, he's like, your stuff, you're obviously, you're clearly not putting in the work. And he was right. He was right. I needed that talk.
Yeah.
And I started going nuts with carousels, and it was an annoyingly long amount of time. It took 6 months of like doldrums. Like it was not doing well. And then all of a sudden it was like the summer of 23-ish. It was like July or something, and things really took off. And then January even more, and my stuff was really blowing up. Now, it ain't the same. LinkedIn is not the same. My impressions are actually going up quite a bit right now. I think it's because we're coming back to September. Okay. And the summer lull is going away.
Right.
But I'll admit, I mean, I was probably getting 20,000-30,000 impressions a post, in the good times.
Yeah.
And now I like barely sniff 15.
Wow.
And even someone like Yasmin, who like, it's funny because for him, like 50K is like a low amount of impressions in a post.
Right.
But even someone like him was like, dude, I was getting, 200,000-300,000. Right. And so, yeah. So they've definitely cracked down on reach. There's no question about it. But can you still grow? Can you still do well? Of course.
Yeah.
I think the reason you see so many comments and engagement is because these are people who, it's years of growing a network. It's like if you cold called for 3 years and you have this massive Rolodex, right? Of people that So the first 3 years, a lot easier. I spent way more time on the platform. Today, I'm on the platform from 7 to 9 is when I'm like responding to comments and commenting on other people. I come back from 11 to 12, but has nothing to do with my content. That is all outreach. It's usually 45 minutes or so. So what I do is I prune through everyone who's commented on my stuff, everyone who's liked my stuff, who's viewed my profile, blah, blah, blah. And then the rest of the day, it's no more than 30 minutes total. I'll come in at like 1 o'clock and I'll respond to comments I haven't responded to. I might comment on like 4 or 5 new people like in the feed. And then at the end of the day, I do the same thing for 15 minutes. That's it. Yasmin's the one who taught me that.
Are you closing the DMs for a $250 per month offer, or are you closing on sales calls for that and the $1,500 per month?
What do you mean? Say
Like
again?
when you're closing clients or closing sales, is it on a sales call or is it just through the DMs?
Oh, it's the webinars. It's all the webinars.
So it's one to many.
Oh yeah. I used to do one-to-one. I don't really do one-to-one anymore. That's within our community, so people can hire me. Additionally, I will do one-offs. Like I'll charge like $500 for a consult, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there have been many larger engagements that literally just started in the DMs and then it was a one-to-one call. I do one-to-one calls. I just don't do a lot. I have a rule. I don't take more than 2 calls in a day. I just never do. It's like I find that somehow if it's 3, I get really burnt out. I don't know why. I can't handle more than 2.
So for growing and scaling, would you consider hiring like a sales rep that takes your calls? And then because you don't like to take them, what if he or she got 5 to 8 of those a day?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm open to that stuff. What I'm not open to, unfortunately, is I don't like anyone having access to my account. I don't give anyone access to my account. So I don't use VAs. I don't use any of that stuff. Not that I'm against it, but typically what I have experienced when speaking with these teams is they're the ones that go into your account and market on your behalf. So they'll be the ones sending the DMs and all that kind of stuff. If there was a way to do that without accessing my account, I'd be way more open to it. But there is a way to do it. It's just getting a sales rep. But that means that person has to grow their own account organically. So it's way harder because they don't have the built-in reputation and the clout's the wrong word. I wouldn't say I have clout, but I would say that there's an amount of credibility there because it's like, oh, wow, this guy's got a lot of followers. Look at his content. It actually tracks well with his followers. This is a legit guy, right? So I could see how if I had someone doing outreach on my behalf, sure, it would probably save a lot of time. Here I am 6 years later and I still don't do it.
Or what if the account was your account and then the book call is to a team member because they know that you have almost 100,000 followers, that you don't have time for this now because you're scaling, and then you can say our growth advisor will get on a strategy call to lay out a plan, and you can either take it and run with it, or you can hire us to see if you want to shorten or collapse that time to get better results.
Well, I think the difference between me and a lot of users on LinkedIn, at least that have big follower accounts, is it ain't as much as you think. It's not as though like people are knocking on my door to call me. It's not. I still do outreach. I still do, it's an illusion. You see a lot of people with these humongous follower accounts and like that means they're automatically millionaires and they're busy. It does not mean that. I happen to be fortunate in the sense that I have a fairly, large following and it translates to business, but it's not as much as you think. Like I don't know, whatever it is about me. Maybe I'm not approachable. I don't know. I don't, it's not like I'm getting like a zillion messages every single day. I probably get, I don't know, 3 or 4 DMs every day. Like I don't get a lot. So if it were to get to that point, I think everything you're saying has total merit and I would be driving myself crazy, but that kind of activity existed years ago. It was very like, when I was doing video, I would get like 20 DMs from one video where I'd say, contact me if you like this, blah, blah, blah. It was like taking candy from a baby. Very, very easy stuff back then. It's not as easy today. It's just not. And maybe I'm only speaking for myself. Maybe some people just get flooded with inbound. But I know better than that. And, if it's too good to be true, it usually is. And I have learned to be a skeptic. I think everyone and their mother is claiming to be a millionaire. Well, statistics don't lie. My instinct is to never believe them right off the bat. Sorry, I hate to be a skeptic, but this is online we're talking about. You know what I mean? We don't know what the hell's going on behind those screens. So I'll trust you after you've earned it kind of a person.
Optimistic realist.
That's right. That's
I love
exactly
that.
that's exactly how I play things. Yep.
I'm the biggest skeptic, but I'm a good sucker for real marketing that actually works. And if as long as it can give me return on investment and time, I pay you a lot of money.
Hell yeah. I'm completely with you on that. 100%.
That takes us to our lightning round. Perfect segue. Getting to know Nat in the last 60 seconds. I'm going to fire off a bunch of questions and we're going to wrap this up because I took a lot more time than we scheduled for. I want to thank you for that. It was
All
just
good.
amazing. So much fun. I know we could keep going.
Yeah.
So I'll probably have to ask you for a part 2.
Okay.
Morning routine. What's the first thing, Nat, that you do in your morning to set up your day?
Well, it doesn't come right when I wake up. I mean, admittedly, I wake up and I go to the bathroom. But I'll go downstairs and then I'll sort of work for like 5-10 minutes. And then I do meditate. I'm a believer in that. I use Sam Harris's meditation app. I do a daily meditation. It's 10 minutes. And I'm not like a she like weirdo yoga. Like, I'm not saying yoga people are weirdos, but like I believe in breathing.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to like stretch in weird positions and do all kinds of stuff. Like breathing's enough for me, trying to be and I like to practice mindfulness as best as I can. So that's a non-negotiable for me every morning. I do that.
When you do breath work and mindfulness, are you manifesting future? Are you doing an attitude of gratitude? Are you trying to say, how do I get on the good spot with my wife? What's going through your mind?
No, I'm actually doing none of that.
Okay.
I'm literally paying attention to the breath itself and being as present as I possibly can. On occasion, when Sam Harris is talking, he'll tell you to do certain things, but it's not about like mindset. It's more like looking at yourself and how you. It's weird. Like after a couple of months of doing it, I find myself in some situations pausing, and that pause is like everything. Where I'm like, look at what you're saying, man. Like just take a step back, and it kind of forces that on you in a very good way. So whether it's yoga, whether it's breathing, whether it's taking a walk outside, who cares? Whatever works for you, I think is important. So my non-negotiables are definitely, the mindfulness stuff. I'm kind of a gym rat. I always go to the gym. And lately my other non-negotiables are piano. I play piano and,
me too.
And, oh, nice. I love it. And I'll read, but I don't read books. I came to that conclusion that I don't love reading books all that much. Like if it's a really gripping one, I'll just bang it out in a weekend, but I just love reading articles. So I read like, I always go on my Google on my phone and I see the articles I want to read.
Yeah.
Business Insider, Entrepreneur. Like I like those. Those are the two that I have subscriptions to. And I take it a step further. If I see a cool article on Entrepreneur, I'll reach out to the person I read about, I love doing that. That's kind of a cool practice that I do.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Quick win for branding. If someone came to you today wanting to grow their personal brand, what's the fastest needle mover that you could recommend for them to do right away?
First thing I always recommend is optimizing their profile. Always. You'd be surprised at how many people have like pictures of the ocean as their banner on LinkedIn. I'm sure you've seen it. Or like a city skyscraper or something, like a skyscape. Like, no, like if people don't realize, this is an interesting statistic. I don't know if it's still true, but I'm pretty sure it's close. The average view time of a banner is 7 to 8 seconds. Okay. Which in internet time is an eternity. I mean, that's a very long amount of time. If you count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, all the way to 8, that's a long time. So instead of them looking at an ocean, why not have them look at exactly, who you are, what you do, what outcomes you provide. Someone needs to know what you do within a couple of seconds. If they don't, you lost them. So let's say they already had that going for them. I would say learn to get really good at content and learn to get really good at outreach.
Amazing. When is your next live webinar? Because I think I heard you say you do it twice a month.
Yeah, it's next week, next Thursday. Was that September 4th? something like
So
that.
if you have a link to that, maybe we can send it to me and I can put it in the show notes and drive as many people as we can to get that LinkedIn optimization profile makeover.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to post that out right now. Is it a Calendly link?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me put that up. So what do you call this event?
Yeah, just profile optimization.
LinkedIn profile optimization workshop. And when is that again?
So we basically, I'll go over the 5 elements of a LinkedIn profile that you have to nail down to, be more visible, explain better what you do. And it's the 5 main elements of a LinkedIn profile that you have to nail.
And when is that?
When is that?
Yeah, what date?
Oh, September 4th. But it's every 2 weeks. So after that, whatever, 21st.
And what time is it being held?
Noon Eastern.
Okay, you're taking your lunch. Thank you for doing that. Okay, so I'm going to put that up in the show notes.
What the hell's lunch?
It's an inconvenience sometimes.
No, I actually am pretty consistent about lunch, and I try to make sure I'm with my family at that time. I don't mess around with that.
Okay, so here you guys have in the show notes Nat Berman's 5 elements of a LinkedIn profile optimization workshop, September 4th at 12 p.m. EST. This will be running bi-weekly. Click the link at calendly.com. Nat Uncoached profiles optimization webinar. That's a mouthful. So thanks for sharing that. And he'll unlock the secrets on how you can have a better LinkedIn profile so you can reach more people. What is a last question is a personal motto or phrase or quote that you live by as an entrepreneur?
Sure. There's actually 2 of them. One of them is no excuses, get it done. That was my JV basketball coach, always stuck. The other one is you got to do what you got to do. So I live by those 2. They've been my mottos for a long time.
You know what I think is so amazing about you, Nat, even though I just met you today, is the simplicity and the hard work ethic and the honesty. I picked out those 3 things amongst many others, and I can see how and why you've been so successful. And I really appreciate your time today on sharing these elements and these secrets with us, and basically, going under the hood to show us, truly how you have gotten to where you have gotten. And I want to thank you so much for being on today's Sales Ninja Show. Is there any last words for people who are starting out and maybe giving up on social media and branding? What would you say to them?
I would say that in the next 10 or 20 years, with the onset of AI, automation and technology, that the desire for human connection is going to grow in many pockets. And I think having a personal brand is almost going to be like an automatic in life. It almost reminds me of a television episode I saw on Black Mirror a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I remember that.
People are always on their phone and they're always rating someone. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
I'm so glad you know what I'm talking about, because most people,
because the ratings go down and they lose their
and the whole life got screwed up, and
Yes.
it's not going to be that kind of dystopian thing. But I have this theory that so much of America's income is going to be just them on their YouTube channel. I'm convinced. Maybe I'm wrong, or TikTok Shop or something like that. So, first of all, get over it, because that's the way it is, right? But second of all, you have an opportunity, right? And you have an opportunity because all of us are different. And until we are completely replicated, which I'm not ruling that out, but until we are completely replicated, we can still represent ourselves authentically, to the best of our ability. And that representation is what's going to win you business. It's not going to be what you do.
Right.
If you've got 10 financial advisors in a room, they all do the same thing. But if one of them wears weird t-shirts every day, you're probably going to remember that one.
Very true.
So that's, I think, a very core element of what is going to work in the future is standing out.
Yeah.
So as far as like, don't give up all that stuff, that's on you, man. Just build the habits, build the small habits, and eventually, you know, I don't believe in motivation as much as I believe in discipline. That's critical.
I'm just kind of marinating in that because that's good words to hear and end off on. You know, it's not just even about motivation, because when you fail with your motivation, what do you have to fall back on? Discipline, those habits and the consistencies is what helps you get that success and to win in your business, in your relationships, in your marriage, in your parenting, in life. So stand out, build a brand, because it's going to make a difference. Nat, you're amazing. If you guys are interested, we are actually holding a workshop this Friday on if you're looking to generate leads from completely cold to LinkedIn. We have a workshop this Friday, August 29th at 1 p.m. EST. I have a couple of links on Facebook and LinkedIn. And we talked about some of those numbers, and we're looking to give 5 founding members an opportunity of a lifetime where we can do outreach for you and help generate more conversations and book more calls for you so that you don't have to do it. So if you know anyone that wants to join this, click the link and join the workshop, and we will help you out there. So Nat, again, thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to another conversation. You are amazing. And we are here to help you, 1 million people, to break the cycle of generational poverty so that you can sell more to give more. Thanks again, Nat.
Thanks a lot, Jay. Appreciate it.
Take care.